Welcome back, everybody. It's Thursday night. That means it's time for Tech Charged. Turn down for what podcast live. This is episode 18. With me, as always, is our good friend Martin Meek from out in the great state of Kansas. Love your shirt, buddy.
Oh yeah, love yours.
And then, of course, we've got our rebel.
Mine's not.
That's not funny today.
Jace
We're F1
Miller.
tonight.
Jace is much more cosmopolitan. He's much better worldly traveled. You know what I mean? He's got
yes.
He's beyond just a t-shirt kind of guy. He's a fine fabric kind of fellow.
Indeed. How are we, everybody?
I'm doing great, man. I missed you guys.
Almost not here tonight. It's been kind of crazy.
Whoa.
Hey, Josh and
What? Who let these guys in without an approval?
We're hijacking the live feed. What's up, boys?
Who's this
What's
guy
up?
in this? What is this? I have never seen, other than AI. I have seen AI Jesse with a tie. Now you're all sideways. Now you're getting all crazy over there.
We went sideways. What is happening? Let's go again. Try again. There we go.
There we go.
We're not hijacking the whole conversation. We're just driving back from a business trip in Nashville. I'm always doing stuff late at night, but we're just free driving. I was like, I'm gonna say hi to the boys.
That's all. The sun is still out. It's not too late at night.
We're in Central Time today.
Look at that. You gained a whole hour. Your time travel.
Sideways. I don't know what's going on with the camera. I can't do this. How about that? We'll just stick like that. That's fine.
There you go. That
I think
works.
you know how to podcast as much as you do it.
Yeah, I'm
So,
doing this on the
Josh?
phone.
Josh, you're gonna love this. I'm glad that you're on. It's great timing. Do you happen to recognize the hat?
The hat. I
The
can't
hat.
see it. Oh, is that cushion cheese?
It's cushion cheese, buddy.
Is that
It's
cushion cheese?
It's cushion
Let's go.
cheese. Shout out Kyle Field.
Kyle Field. At Kyle Field. Let's go.
At Kyle Field. So when we were having a great time down at Act Expo in Anaheim, because I am an incompetent bastard, I tagged the wrong Kyle Field, and it was an account called Cush and Cheese. And he was a great sport about it. It was fantastic. We were having a great time. It was way too late at night. There was too many adult beverages involved. And so, yeah, I've got the official Cush and Cheese hat, and I just got it. So I was like, I have to wear it on the podcast, and I was going to tag you. How better is this? It's meant to be that here you are to enjoy the first edition, the first rollout of the Cush and Cheese Turned Down for What collaboration.
We need cushion cheese to join the podcast for sure.
Absolutely.
100%. We needed the actual Kyle Field, and then we need the cushion cheese Kyle Field both to be on the podcast for sure.
They must
We should
meet.
do the podcast from Kyle Field.
You just
That
need to
would be
find a
something.
field. Is there a Kyle Field somewhere?
There is a Kyle Field, yes.
Whose team is Kyle Field?
Wow.
He plays. Well, he's a part owner, but in fairness, that's because all season ticket holders are part owners of the Green Bay Packers. The way the Green Bay Packers work is all of them have a small ownership stake as season ticket holders.
Yes.
So he is technically an owner of the Green Bay Packers, and so
It's a cheesehead.
he is a cheesehead, and this is the Cush and Cheese. I'll let you guys Google search what Cush is.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M
Yeah.
Kyle Field. That's
I
right.
have
Yeah.
no idea. I've never heard that word before in my life.
It is an adult thing that you enjoy with the
In Colorado.
Cheese. With
with
cheese.
cheese. Yeah, it is legal in some states and not legal in others, but
Indeed.
the hat is legal in all 50. So shout out Cush and Cheese, Kyle Field.
Although
In the
you are
cheese.
not, so
Wow, this is great stuff, man. Well, who wants to kick it off today, guys? We've there's been all kinds of cool stuff happening. Who wants to start the conversation? Get us going.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start. Yeah, lots of cool stuff this week. I think, iOS 26 is obviously the big one for this week, and the changes that that are coming with Carplay that 26 will bring. Obviously, a jump going from 19 to 26, or 18 to 26, I should say. So that was kind of confusing for a lot of people. I know when I was posting, people were like, "How are you on 26 and I'm on 18? That doesn't make any sense." And Apple decided to change their naming structures, so they kind of unified everything. Everything starting at 26, tvOS, iOS, macOS, iPadOS, all of watchOS, all of them are going to 26. So matching, corresponding with the year, obviously, that's coming up. So
I was a little confused because I can't install it. Is that because it's only for beta right now? So the people that I'm seeing are beta, or it's just not available to everybody?
Yeah. So it used to be where back in the day you used to have a developer account where you paid $99, and that was your access to the developer beta. Now anybody can download it. You just go into your settings and go into software updates, and you can turn on developer beta. You could do public beta as well, but the public beta is not available yet. So if you want to jump on it, anybody really can. Now, I think that started like 2 or 3 years ago that they changed that up. So you don't have to pay. You don't have to have a developer account.
I did iOS 18 for the beta updates, and the early versions are very glitchy. So if you're going to consider taking it, be ready for a little bit of glitches that you have to navigate through. It gets better as it gets closer to release time. But don't just think you're getting early access with all the bells and whistles. There are some negatives to consider.
Yeah, battery life especially is probably the number one. Obviously, there's some apps that maybe couldn't work, but honestly, this year I haven't had any apps that are not functioning. But there's definitely the possibility of really bad battery health.
This all sounds very familiar with this Lightning that we've been dealing with. So bad apps, bad battery, all this crap, right?
Yep.
You're used to the Lightning in the early days, in the beta days of the Lightning. iOS 26, like it fits right in.
Yep. So, but with 26 came a lot of CarPlay changes. So for like Ford EV owners, especially, since which is still crazy to me, one of the only brands that supports Apple Maps EV routing. There's some big changes in there, but also just in CarPlay in general that anybody can get pretty much. We saw the Ford Mustang was showcased in Apple's keynote, which was really cool to see. After we saw last year, Ford Pass was shown in the Apple keynote, so that was really cool. And then we actually saw the features that were shown in last year's keynote were actually launched this last week with Ford Pass. So we saw the ability to check your charge level with Siri, unlock and lock your vehicle with Siri, as well as a multitude of other things, multi-vehicle support and in Control Center and a bunch of other things launching. So that was cool. It took a little while. It took almost literally a year, but we did see some of those other options and functionalities launched. So that was good. And I know Android also widgets became available for Android, so that was awesome as well.
Yeah, we got those on our phones. I got those this week, and they're pretty awesome. They do some pretty good stuff. I've been using it for about a week now. It's not very on the home screen. It's not very useful. I don't know if anybody's gonna be able to see that, but that top right one, it just kind of gives you your basic percentage. The screen does go green when you're charging, so it's kind of you can tell when it's charging at a glance. I guess the Android Galaxy watches do the same kind of thing. I don't have one, but that's what I've been told.
Yes. Yeah, it's all very similar to iOS, which rolled out a few months ago, but very, very similar implementation. All of the same exact kind of stuff, the widgets and turning green. And we use them a lot. One thing that was also new for iOS was the ability to turn your climate on, or basically remote start your EV from the lock screen. Which is really cool. That was not available to us before. We could sort of, go in you could go in here, turn my phone on and tap that, and that would open Ford Pass right away. But now I have my little climate button down here, and I just hold that, and it will turn on the truck, which is really cool. And you can actually set that. Like I said earlier, it has multi-vehicle support, so you can set it whichever truck you want. I think there's 3 options, basically. For us, Justin, Jace, and then whatever your last opened vehicle within Ford Pass was. So pretty cool.
And that was pretty strictly. That was pretty strictly though. That was just a Ford Pass update, not specific to the iOS update, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So those are sort of 2 things that happened sort of quickly in succession that were kind of completely separate. But yeah, you're exactly correct. So the CarPlay changes are separate from the Ford Pass changes, but yeah, all kind of launched within a couple of each other.
I got annoyed when I was tweaking with it, where I couldn't press, like, you have to get rid of your, like, I always use flashlight and camera You have to get rid of one of those two buttons to use the start.
Yes.
I wish it could be in the top widgets or whatever it's called, because that made more sense for the location.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah, for some reason, Apple doesn't allow those to be actionable. The top ones, only the bottom ones are actionable, which is an oddity, but that's kind of Apple for you, right?
they should have a third button where I could have my camera, my flashlight, and then the car start. You know,
I'm starting to use camera control on the side. If you have a 16, there is a camera control button, so I'm trying to get my muscle memory there, but not quite there yet. But I'll get there.
This sounds like Apple's finally starting to catch up to Android a little bit. We've had camera control with a double tap of the button for a long time.
I feel like
They
that's
had
always
the
been
action button that you could do camera to, but this is another button they added on the 16 in addition,
Dedicated.
which yeah, exactly, a dedicated. Which actually you can use it in a few apps actually support camera control. It doesn't have to be the camera, but there's only like a couple that actually support it. I don't really know why. It'd be cool if FordPass, for instance, would support the camera control button, because that'd be very useful.
Yeah, what do you think about that glass display thing? Like, you were holding your phone up, and it like, at first, I don't know, it's distracting for me, but I'm old, and so everything new is scary and evil to me. So I'm like shaking my fist at the clouds. But have you gotten used to it?
Get off
Like,
my lawn!
oil
Right.
companies.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've gotten used to it for sure. There's a lot of refinements that need to be done, but it's beta 1. There's always a lot of refinements. This is nothing new. As Josh mentioned earlier, they keep getting better and better, and they might go through 5, 6, 7 beta versions. So is
it optional? Like, is that display optional, or that just is the display now? And so if that
that's the design. Yeah, there's no toggle. No, this is a complete redesign. The first since iOS 7. So it's it's
get used to it. Okay. All right.
There might be some
myself-
accessibility stuff that you can tweak, and maybe contrast, and but I do think Apple will sort of blur a little bit more of the background. That was one of the big complaints, is people don't really like Control Center. It's a little bit hard to read, as well as a few other things that they're hard to read. And I think they will update that, as the betas, come. So
Bryce says that the Android Watch implementation works well. I actually haven't. Martin, if you want one, man, when you're here, I'll let you. I have an older when I switched from Android over to Apple, and I have the watch here. If you want to play with it, you're welcome to. It's just
I don't wear watches. I haven't in 20 years, and so it's not something that I'm into. But so I just use my phone. I mean, but I love the fact that they added the widget to the desktop. But the problem, I had to go in. I couldn't make it big enough or small enough to see anything. So up here, so if I get that, it takes up so much space. I had to start creating folders and moving things around. I guess I'm complaining about adding more functionality. I shouldn't do that, but the widgets are nice. I like to be able to just click. And Tesla has the same one. I don't know if that's something that Android added recently, but if you see, there is a Tesla app right below, the FordPass here, and then Tesla app, and both of them can get bigger if you want them to. But it's nice to be able to, like that one, I can unlock the car on Tesla's app directly from that screen. FordPass is just an image, and you click it and it just takes you to the app, which is fine.
I'm assuming you guys don't have any voice support either for locking.
I don't think so. I haven't tried to do Google or Gemini or anything like that yet.
So now Martin brings up an interesting point that I was going to ask you, Jace, if you have this, but so I've got the Tesla app and the FordPass app, and when I say to Siri to check my charge, it doesn't know what to do, and so it kind of takes away from the whole purpose if it's got to come up and I got to select a dang app to use.
Yeah, I heard
it doesn't remember.
I guess I heard there's supposedly some specific prompts that you can say so that it does not do that. I'm not sure if there is a way within iOS to do that. To be completely honest, I ended up just deleting the Tesla app because I was just like, I don't know, like I don't, and I don't own the Tesla. I never use it. So the only time I was using the Tesla app was to scout for new Tesla chargers that they may have just, turned on to, non-Teslas. So I just decided to delete it. But I'm assuming there is some sort of way to like tell iOS only to open FordPass on this command. I don't know what that is. I don't know if anybody's looked into it. I thought I heard somebody say that there's like a specific prompt that you can say that it will only open FordPass. I'm not sure what that is, but yeah, it's not ideal. There's obviously going to need to be some tweaking there for people who own, let's say, both. You know, if you have a Tesla and a Ford, that kind of makes that unusable. So
Yeah, and it's it would also be not just if you own a Tesla vehicle, but you know, Tesla Solar, and like I've tested, you know, Powerwall, and
Yeah.
a lot of people that own Fords, a lot of them have the Tesla app because they're using it to start the charging when they road trip. So it'd be great if you discover what that is. Definitely share it and post it, because I know
I will.
Jace, are you just doing public charging now through plug and charge, like for Tesla? Because I can't. That's the only way I have to start it. Now that they've removed the public charging app from the truck, I have to use the Tesla app.
Yeah, we've always done plug and charge, so we're not saving any money.
You're not, but you don't save that much money. And for us, you know, if I would have been driving the Lightning to California, I would have. That was a hint at somebody online. I was going to use the Tesla app the old way and pay for it, you know, because it's a lot. When I'm doing 20 charges, probably on 25 charges on this trip, it was going to change the game for cost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We switch networks so much that, and really, honestly, lately I've road tripped so infrequently that we just end up using plug and charge. But yeah, if we were doing some crazy road trip, absolutely, yeah, no way. We would
put it back on and use it, and then take it back off if it was interfering with your iOS, you know, Siri stuff.
Which I mean, I don't use. I'm not. It's a very rare. I'll probably never use Siri to check my charge status. To be completely, I've got it right on my lock screen, and it you know, it's there. So, but it's cool to, like you said, I'm not going to complain. I love it. I'm glad they, you know, the one I think I would use, to be honest, is if they said, you know, hey, you know who, start my truck, then that is one that I could definitely see myself using. I think you can technically do it with Siri shortcuts, but I haven't messed around with it. So now that I have it on my lock screen, that's close enough. I
think there's some stuff with Alexa that will work with that. I haven't tried that.
Yes, I believe that is true too. I do not use Alexa, but yeah, I've heard that as well.
I've got it in the truck, and we have it, you know, because you get the premium, and I actually really enjoy that in the truck. I use Alexa more than anything else in the truck. She's more, it's interesting because Google all the time will say, I don't understand, you know, and Alexa will give you answers, and she's much faster at giving you an answer. Like, you can just talk to her like a regular person. And I feel like with Google, I kind of have to slow down and, you know, explain things. And if you ask a question like something weird, like what time is it in Miami, Florida right now? She's like, I don't understand. But you can ask a question, you know, like a trivia question, and it's right there. So, but
I find Siri to be almost useless. And when within the truck, I don't know if they've dumbed it down when you're in Apple CarPlay, but anytime I try to ask it anything,
What I'll say is this: once you have ChatGPT, Siri is significantly behind some of the modern AI tools that are in existence.
I will say, so when Josh picked me up back when I was stranded, and shout out Josh for getting the rental car up there. He showed me the ChatGPT. It was on. I've always just used it. You know, you type it into ChatGPT. He had it where it could like talk back and forth to you. He was able to, like, as we're driving, show it pictures of where we were and ask it where it thought we were based on what it saw. It was incredible. Like, I think you're paying for an extra level than I am, so I don't know if a lot of that comes with that extra level, but it was quite impressive. But can you get ChatGPT to interact with your truck so that when I hit the button on my truck, I can ask ChatGPT instead of Siri?
Siri's supposed to feed to ChatGPT from what I know, but most of the times it's completely useless. I don't know how that integration works, but
Question: the new apps that is on the new version of CarPlay in the truck, I've been told that it has significantly more apps than before. Is the ChatGPT app allowed to be on the home screen of your F-150?
You're on mute, Jace.
Whoops, sorry. It's not any more apps per se. It just shows more apps. So like no more apps are available that weren't before. That will change, however. That will change with the new video for CarPlay that launched, or it was announced today, I should say. We should start to see maybe YouTube TV, YouTube become apps on CarPlay. Now, you'd only be able to watch those when the car is parked. That's Apple's been very clear about that, and automakers will choose or choose not to support it. So we'll see what launches with that.
Is there a way to override that?
I would
Magic
go all the
box.
way to override it, but I would.
The Magic Box is one way to do that, but
I have the Benign box, but I got to be honest with you guys, running it and the integration of, since we're on that topic, the Magic Box, Benigns, any of these, and they all kind of work differently. I know Zach has the car linked in kit in his truck that he runs almost exclusively now, but he's not trying to run two systems. He's not trying to run CarPlay or that. He's not trying to run Android Auto or that. When you try to use both, and I've done this a lot, the Benigns box has to kind of load up and it'll load into its own world, and you can use it with Android Auto through Benigns box, but there's no integration. You don't get the Google, you don't get the EV integration. And so to try to, you can split screen some stuff. Like when I was running a better route planner and watching a football game, for instance, my wife was watching a football game when we're going down the road, which is, again, not something I recommend to do. It's very dangerous. But she would watch the game, and I was looking at the Android Auto split screen, one on top of the other. So half the screen is one, half the screen the other. That works. But anytime you're trying to run regular CarPlay or Google EV routing, it makes those boxes almost worthless. I haven't turned mine on in like 6 months now. I just don't use it anymore. I thought I was going to. I think if we were sitting somewhere trying to watch a show, or if she wanted to watch a movie going down the road, we could run it, but my wife's not a movie watcher, so we don't do that. But again, there's a reason why these manufacturers are not doing this. It's dangerous to drive down the road watching a movie. It's distracting if you're the driver. So
I think we find ourselves just using an iPad. I've looked into the Magic Box a couple times and thought, oh, that would be so cool. But every time we've just gone with it, it's just like, I don't know. When we make stops too, I hear people all the time like, oh, I watch YouTube when I make a stop. I'm like, I don't know. Like when we stop on our road trips, we're using the restroom, we're getting food, we're letting the dogs out. Like by the time we're done, the truck is ready. So it would be like 3 minutes of YouTube.
Normal for us, Jace. It's just the opposite. I got to think sometimes these hour and 10, hour and 15-minute stops because I'm towing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Done in 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and then you got 34 or 40 more minutes to sit there and do it. So it's a little different world when you have to tow. So I found something out too about we road tripped this Model S Tesla just a little bit this week, this 15 I got. And it has a theater in the MCU2, the new version of the upgraded screen. There's a theater button. It has all the Hulu, Netflix, all that loaded in. You can start a movie in that car when you're parked, and it'll start playing the Netflix movie. And as soon as you put it in drive and take off, or at least running, it will continue to play the audio. The video goes away, which was kind of an interesting deal. That's native to Tesla. Now, what I can't do is get any other apps. They are not very good at being able to add things. Like they don't have Android Auto. They don't have CarPlay. And I'm a little bit hesitant to run that. In fact, I was hesitant enough that I plugged in the Magic Box, the Benigns box that I have to the Tesla to see if it would recognize it, and they don't. They make one that supposedly will, but I'm not going to buy another $200 box for something that we don't use.
Yeah.
And I kind of found exactly what Jay said, is that I thought it was going to be this great thing for the road trip for the kids, where they could watch Disney Plus and Netflix and whatever. And my son watched the iPad, and my daughter had, her headphones in, and we really never used it. And it's kind of so far forward. And then of course, when you do use it, then I'm losing my navigation and my other aspects that aren't great to lose. So I think once again, I think the Chinese got it right. If you look at some of those cars in China where they have a screen, either a really large screen, and the driver cannot see that side of the screen. The angle doesn't allow it. I think
the Cadillac does that, I think.
And Jeep has it as well, where it's technically in the passenger console, but it's got a privacy glare film on it. Yeah,
the Chinese get crazy
when
Go ahead, Josh.
When I reviewed the Cadillac Escalade, and it has that full pillar-to-pillar screen, I actually watched when you put the car in drive, you can see the screen, and when you put the car in drive, the screen disappears from the driver's side. So it's not like it's works sometime and it doesn't work others. Like it actually flips into that mode only when you go into drive. So if you put it into park, you can see the screen, but the moment you put it into drive, it instantly goes into invisibility mode. So it's kind of like a unique touch
Very
that the
cool.
Escalade did, but those pillar-to-pillars that you see in all those GM products is the same way.
That's pretty cool that so as you're parked, it's there for you, but then when you actually drive, the passenger still retains it. Terrence Jackson saying that Mercedes does it in the EQS. I didn't know that. That's
the
pretty cool.
hyper screen. Yeah, you can get it with or without, but it basically has like the big driver's cluster, the big one in the center, and then you can get like a Mickey. It's almost Mickey Mouse, like boop, boop, boop. And then you can get one that just has the 2 instead of the 3 for the passenger.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There was
pretty cool.
There's this. I'm obsessed with this YouTube channel called Wheels Boy. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with his oeuvre, but it's he's like an American. I think he's an American who's out there in China and lives out there and reviews all these different cars. And he was showing the one from Lincoln Co. and it had a big screen, and you could take part of it and shift it this way and that way, dynamic. It was like, oh man, I hope these are the types of things that we see from Ford when they come up with the next generation, where you can just. Because I would love to do that with, Apple CarPlay. That's one of my big gripes. Is I did notice, Jace, that it looks like one of my things that I've always been annoyed by compared to Android Auto is those bottom. I don't know, what are those things called? Those widgets or whatever they are in the bottom. One of them will show like my podcast or my music. The other one will show like my calendar. Maybe it'll show the weather. I can't recall. But they're too big, and it looked like they might have been smaller on the screenshot that you shared. I want to be able to drag and move and dynamically shrink myself personally, but
no customization per se that I've noticed in that. But yes, they did adjust that. We were just actually looking at that, Justin and I, when we were driving. He hadn't really seen that yet, and he's like, "Whoa, this is definitely better." Because he uses that multi-screen a lot. I do not. I for some reason really like to put it on the full map screen. It's just like my I couldn't really tell you why. That's what I do. But Justin really likes that multitask screen. I know a lot of people do. And so with that, it is better. The map is bigger and those are a little smaller. The cool part is now that live activities are in CarPlay, it will, so you have like the big map, right? And then it will have the ones underneath. The 2 underneath will split, and it will show you your live activities. So you could have up to 4 quadrants below the big map quadrant.
Oh, really? Can you set what those quadrants are? And
no, but it will automatically, like I said, I don't know if you saw my tweet. We could actually pull it up if we wanted. There was I showed the Guardians game earlier today where it was the game was technically yesterday, but my screenshot was from yesterday, but I tweeted it today. And it shows the Guardians score live with live activities using the Apple Sports app. And it's really cool how it does it, because you're just driving and then, it's live updating. It shows you the score, how many outs, how many players are on base. And I believe the pitch count as well. So super, super cool to be able to see that like live while you're driving, and it's up there all the time,
Yeah, I like so many things. I just want to customize it, because like you, I when I'm navigating, I find the full screen to be better. Also where the arrows and directions are, I just like the way it's laid out and how it works. And then when I go to the kind of quadrants or whatever you want to call those, I like that it's there from when I'm listening to a podcast or when I'm listening to music, and those controls are, I like to see like who the artist is, or I might want to see the episode or whatever it is. Yeah. And then it does have one section, if you're navigating, shows the turn-by-turn directions. Other times it's a calendar, but I'd like to be able to dynamically move and decide what that is, or even have one that I can slide.
I noticed that the Google Maps app was better in Android than it was in Apple. Like it's much less versatile.
Yes.
Much less versatile in Apple. It's like it's the same app. Like it should function the same, but even the Google Maps experience on a full screen on Apple CarPlay is much more diminished compared to Android Auto.
I cannot confirm or deny that Google makes apps better on their own phones.
That would make sense.
Crazy. That's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. No, I kind of agree with you though, Josh. Like it's kind of BS in a way that you would think like the apps would work the same, and they just simply do not.
There, I just pulled up for you, Jace.
So it doesn't show the pitch count, but it does show how many, if people are on base, and the outs, and then the inning, and then obviously the score. So
cool. I see it now. How you've got you've got your, what's the home that you've got? Is that, looks like Nest, but is that
would essentially just navigate me to home if I hit that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah,
and
see,
then that will also, if I get like a quarter mile from my house, which looks like I'm just outside of that in this, that will turn to my garage door
link
to turn
through
to
like
open. I just have an old door that I use insignia switch, like that turns
yeah.
my dumb door essentially into a smart door. It's an old discontinued unit, but it still works, so I use it.
I've got
You
my
can-
cue, but I've never figured out how to make that work on the screen. I still have to pull my phone out every time.
Yes, my keys run through an app. I don't think they support HomeKit technically, and it's like
Oh.
and they even my queue has like a subscription fee, and so yeah,
Yeah.
I'm keeping my dumb door as long as I can because I've got HomeKit support, so it works. I can use Siri to open my garage door. It's awesome.
I mean, it's so close to cool. If you could see that, you got your bigger navigation, which is great. You've got your 3 different options there. Maybe you can get into 4. Now, if I could just take and assign, like if I could just go into settings and say
Now,
pick,
and that's what I was going to say. Okay, so let me stop you right there because I
Yeah.
will say there should be another tweet a little lower there. Another one where now we have widgets. So
Further down
there's
here.
yeah, keep going, and maybe you might actually have to go to photos because you'll see all my donut tweets and whatever on my iPad. Yeah, sure, let's see it all. Oh gosh.
Where should I eat it? All right, I'm not gonna scroll anymore. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No. There's So, but yeah. So the next page over, essentially, if you were to swipe to the left, there is a new page that is brand new in iOS 26 that is widgets. So, and those are and it's just a page of widgets. It's if you have Smart Zoom enabled, you can do 3. If you don't have Smart Zoom enabled, which is also this is a new setting by the way, Smart Zoom. It gives you 2 widgets, and Smart Zoom's cool. It basically, the way Apple describes it is it takes your display that you have on your vehicle and it will optimize CarPlay to that size screen. So pretty cool. Now you can see like they've made like the bottom where the icons are much smaller. They used to be a lot bigger. Everything was a little bit bigger. Now it's much smaller, so you can fit all that
way better.
Maps. Yeah, it looks so much better. Now dark mode, so all your apps match, completely. So yeah, it looks much better and it works. But anyway, swipe to the left, you get to the widgets, and you can customize those completely. And it's 3 stacks, so you could do weather, you could do anything you want, and you could swipe through them. So
that's getting better. That's good.
That will give you the customization that you're kind of looking for. No, it's not on this screen per se, but it gives you, just swipe to the left and you've got really whatever you want.
Shifting over to kind of the technical side of our Tech Charged episode, this is a great one because I agree. I've seen a bunch of these. I've seen so many of them. I almost went and bought one of these dials just to have one.
I was going to do the same thing, Chris, and I've got some input on this too.
Tell us about this. We'll just read the comment real quick here.
Thing. You can buy like the Escape or the Expedition. There's certain of the dial shifters that work better than the other. The Mach-E is actually not the preferred one. It's the one I was going to do, but I think the Escape or the Expedition is the one that a lot of the guys are using. There's
so is it different? The Mach-E is different from the Expedition and Escape?
The dial themselves are a little bit different, and the prices are different and stuff. But here's my take on this. I was going to put it on the dash. I didn't want it in the cup holder because if I'm going to free up the shifter, they are having a lot of shifter problems, and that's not specific to the Lightning. That's all F-150s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does do weird things to the Lightning because of the truck being electric and stopping you and not letting you put it in park. But aside from that, if I was going to put it somewhere, I wanted it on the dash. And there's a post I went back through. He actually mounted it where the tow haul switch, the little brake controller goes. So you just push that back in the dash. Most guys aren't using that anyway.
Some people have a coin slot holder, but yeah.
If you don't have it, you put it there,
which is even better, honestly.
Yeah, you have to cut a hole in your dash, but that piece is replaceable where it gets cut. So you can buy that new piece if you want to sell it someday. It's not that expensive, but they're mounting it there. But I sit in the truck, and I had the exact same thoughts that Terrence was having here. I want to get away from the shifter, so let me try to imagine living with it. Well, number one, if I'm going to buy the dial, I want it down in the cup holder so I can fold it out without folding the fold out lay flat console. But then it's so far down, you got to reach down. And I imagine sitting in the truck like I would, grabbing the shifter and reaching up to the dash to do it. And you got to lean forward about 3 inches to reach the dash to get that. I don't want to do that every time I get it out of my truck. I don't know about you guys, but we talk all this stuff about these trucks. It's still a truck. I'm still jumping in it on Saturday morning, running to Ace Hardware, running to the donut shop. I'm still using it as its intended purpose. And I don't want to get away from losing those basic, I don't know if you call it OCD tendencies. I just want to grab that shifter and throw it into gear. So after going full circle, I decided I'm not going to do the dial. And I was there. I was ready to go for it. When I get in the Mach-E, it doesn't bother me. I think Ford going to the stock on the 25 Mach-E was a really good thing. You know, I've been driving this Model S for a week. I like the stock better than I do the dial. I got to tell you, just be able to reach up and tap that thing and not have to worry about, you know, turning the dial or turning it too far. Or like if you're going to go to reverse, you have to physically look down unless you can feel it click twice from drive back to reverse. So, you know, should he proactively go to that dial shifter? I mean, if you're worried about your shifter going out, then it's not a bad way to go. It does fix that particular problem. I don't know what the long-term solution is with the shifters. I've never had a shifter problem in any of the Lightnings I've ever had. So
yeah, and is this a certain model year? Because I mean, I hadn't heard about this until just recently.
No,
It seems like
for a while, but it got worse with like they've done something in software.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the sensor really that's like the problem. It's not the shifter's not like breaking. It's the sensor that kind of like essentially breaks, and that's what causes the issue. So I you know, yeah, my thoughts on it are sort of similar to Martin's. I really didn't disagree with really what you said. I kind of feel exactly the same way as you do. There's really no implementation that I think is better. That I have seen. I like laying my head or my hand on the shifter as well to rest my hand on that. I like the tactile feel of it. I don't really particularly use the fold flat work surface often. I actually have a charger that stops it from the shifter from going down, so I can't use it unless I take that charger out. But yeah, I mean, hey, if this gives you, you know, peace and you can sleep at night because you're that worried about it, you know, okay. I'm not. I do think we have seen it become more prevalent in the 2024 models for whatever reason. I believe there is a TSB out for this to look out for certain model years. Someone had mentioned on the Facebook group that within that TSB, you can kind of see there was like a cutoff of seemingly like a part number in 2024. So we would guess that the new part number, you know, the new part was released after that date because, you know, that was the date that they stopped, you know, looking for the problem or, you know, having the TSB active for those trucks. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't worry too much about it. Yes, it does seem to be an issue. Like Martin said, it's not just it's not just an EV thing. It's ICE trucks too. But I just, yeah, I don't know.
You kind of alluded to it, but my question was, does the knob shifter affect the workspace? Will it still open all the way, or is
depending on how you install it.
Flat?
No, it could go all the way flat, but it really, there's people are just building custom 3D things. So you could really kind of build it as you want. But I mean, most of the designs that I've seen are low enough where, kind of like Martin said, though, you're almost reaching in there and turning that dial.
Well, that's the thing. So when you get, there's two different versions of this that are available 3D models that you can print, or you can buy them from guys that are printed. One of them sits up high enough that you can't fold the workstation flat, which kind of kills that. It does have a better feel. There's another one that's flushed down in there a little bit more, which is better for folding flat, but you're sticking your hand not in a hole, but in a cubby. And I don't like that. To be honest with you,
it's kind of tight too. That's your fingers it's not like a wide enough space to really put your hand in there. It's sort of narrow, and so you'd be kind of reaching in like almost like a.
And you got to put your hand kind of at a bent to get down in. It's not just grabbing the shifter. I think ergonomically, it's going to be a downgrade. So the reason I wanted to go to the shifter, the knob, was for one thing, I had a Super Duty with 4 cup holders, and I missed that. I want 4 cup, one for a phone, one for my drink, one for my wife's drink, and then she'll have something else. When we're traveling, that's a lot better to have 4 cup holders. So I wanted it on the dash, and on the dash was the only option for me. I think that it's ingenious the way those guys are mounting them in the cup holder, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I agree. And it's good. Like if, you're worried about it, you think, it's cool. If that helps you sleep again at night, like cool. But yeah, I mean, I would not proactively replace my dial shifter. Because this is what I'll say too, because we know that hopefully, or at least what we can deduce and assume is that there is a new part number. You would hope that it would only break once and then it's broken, and then they put the new one in.
Yeah,
what I'm hearing
priority on this because it's with ICE too. Lightnings are not getting priority on parts because it's a minimal part of their market. But with ICE trucks, Ford's the #1 selling truck in the nation. They're gonna fix this, and they're gonna fix it quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm seeing people that are showing their Ford Pass app with just a list of these problems. And so if you're so it doesn't make sense. Don't proactively go get it. I mean, heck, I had my truck for 3 years, never once had a hint of a problem with it. I do like you said, I like my arm to be resting on it. I like how it sits. I like the shifter. That's me thing.
Me too.
But if you're one of those people that has that huge list of errors and the dealer is telling you that they're still back ordered and they can't get it, can you go to a scrapyard and pull one out of any F-150, or is it specific to the Lightning, or for that matter, can you just quickly
22 and up?
22 and up.
22 and up automatic trucks. That shifter is interchangeable. They're vertically integrated on a lot of things. That shifter is one of them.
And it's just
so even that sensor, Martin. Could you plug and play any? Like, there's no VIN issues with that sensor.
Okay. Shouldn't be that. You don't have to do anything when you change those out. I don't think there's any issues there. So. Now, if we're talking about moving to something else, which is something that we can hit on really quick, I wanted to put in an ICE F-150. I really want to go back to the console shifter. The Lightning steering column is different, so you can't just put the hardware on it. You'd have to change the steering column, which is doable because there's so many F-150s in salvage yards. But it's going to take some, a big Saturday and a couple cases of beer to get that done, I'm sure, for most guys. I haven't attempted it yet. It is definitely something I want to do. In the early days, they were saying Blue Cruise was going to be a problem. But if you think about where your shifter is when you're in drive, it's well below that sensor. I don't think that's going to be an issue because that would give you your 4 cup holders and you get that tactile feel of pulling it down. Now, like Chris said, you lose that put in your hand. Like we saw Jesse, his hand's on his shifter right now. That's exactly what most guys do. That's how I drive.
Yep. Especially Blue Cruise, like, I don't know. My hand's going there.
Me too.
And that's probably the best place you'll ever see Jesse's hand. So be grateful that that's where it is right now.
Why pick on me, Chris? I didn't do nothing to you.
Yeah, well, we haven't started picking on you. You haven't brought up hydrogen yet. So just hang on.
That's true. It's been we are 45 minutes in, and not once have we heard a whisper of hydrogen. Not a single
I
ASMR.
am wanting to take hydrogen from natural gas and use that hydrogen as a fuel source on site to create electricity to charge an electric vehicle.
There you go.
If you ever need to just fill airtime with a rant, you can just mention hydrogen to Jesse or the power companies to me, and you'll just
Did you notice I did?
air.
That's kind of why I said it.
I've been in a hotel room with Jesse for the past 3 days, and he literally lays in bed and like on repeat the word hydrogen just plays, and he falls asleep to it. So
that's his white noise machine. Is just the word hydrogen.
It's just hydrogen over and over again.
Everybody hasn't seen the skit when you guys are at X Expo. It is hilarious that Jesse's doing all his thing, and then Chris at the end is like, "Oh, hydrogen."
ASMR at its finest.
Yeah, it's great stuff, man.
This is a good transition since we're talking about shifters and recalls. Chris, you got brand new Lightning, and the thing's already in the shop. What the hell?
So man,
what have you done this time, Chris?
Yeah. So one, as we've established, I'm an old man. I'm very particular, and I want things how I want things. And like any delivery, this happens with Tesla and a lot of others. Some people just ignore stuff, and other people like me get particular. I've messaged Martin about things sometimes, and the dude, I swear, just wants to punch me through the phone. One, because he could fix this stuff on his own, and also because most of this stuff, he's like, "Are you seriously asking me about this dumb thing?" And so, yeah, when I took delivery of the truck, I noticed a couple things. One is the oh shit handle that I use that's on the A pillar. There's a little insert there, and that insert you pop out in order to unscrew that A pillar with the sensors. Well, that insert was not fully seated. It won't stick into place. It's popped out about 1/8 of an inch. And I use that a lot. So every time I grab it, yes, okay, Martin, I did do that. I do. Martin gives me no credit, which as he should not, because I am not a mechanical type dude. But I did try to push it in there, and it would not go. And then I tried to even swap it, but you can't swap it. And so that was one of my issues. And then the other issue, and this one, God bless Ford, man, because I have a thing about door panels. So full disclosure, my old Lightning had both door panels replaced because the Lightning is so quiet that if it delaminates or if a clip isn't in right, the door makes these rattle sounds and these squeak sounds, and particular where the hand.
Yeah, that's that Argent plastic that fits where your left knee will ride up against that. So I have had to learn to not put my knee on that, or the plastic will creak. And I'll tell you how to fix that. If everybody's out here listening, you get some Play-Doh or some modeling clay, and you put it behind, pop that piece off, and you can put it behind there, and that will quiet down all those creaks and pops.
Mm. This is good to know, actually, because my truck is good. It does not have that rattle on that piece, but Justin's truck has a really bad rattle on that piece, and they actually tried. His actually not even without his knee, it rattles really bad anyway. And mine's good, but his rattles bad. And we took it to the dealer. They said they adjusted it, but they didn't. And I told them the same thing. I said, we'll just pop it off. Well, I was gonna say silicone spray, but yeah, modeling clay is actually probably better.
Do regular clear silicone once you get it off. It just has to dry. But the modeling clay is not permanent, but it helps isolate some of that. And if you ever have to take it back out, it's not permanent.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, it makes me crazy. And I look, the other three doors don't do it. The other three doors are just fine. Like they don't make the squeak. And once my old Lightning had the door panels replaced, they didn't make any sounds like they weren't supposed to. And so they are going to. So I wrote those down when I took delivery. And then it was funny because we'll segue into this in a minute. But when I went and visited Kyle, this is his fault for pointing this out. And once he did, my OCD couldn't stop being aware of it. And it's a good thing he did, actually. But the steering wheel and the alignment was off. So to go straight, the steering wheel had to be slightly turned to the left. And if you had the steering wheel straight, the alignment was off, and it would head off to the right.
Let me be clear about something here. That's not the alignment. So the truck may or may not have had the wheels aligned correctly, the angle, the caster, the camber, all that. But they could have, when they set your alignment, had the steering wheel turned slightly. So that's the new zero.
Okay.
So everybody out there listening, if your wheel's off a little bit, that doesn't mean you're going to wear tires funny, but it is an OCD thing that the steering wheel goes off. And Chris, I totally agree with you. When I have my trucks aligned, my guy knows me that I do all these. I said, make sure that wheel's straight because it's coming back and you're going to tweak it. It's got to be pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, so I took it in for the recall for the upper control arm and the ball joint and all that stuff that was supposed to be there. And so they looked at it, and I don't know what's related to what, but I told them about all the other stuff too. And so they're going to do all of it.
Problems. You're just getting things addressed since it's new and you're picky and
right.
You're old.
Yeah. And I understand that as it ages, it's going to get some creaks and rattles and whatnot, but I'm like, it's brand new. I mean, it's been literally less than a month. So, they had to order parts for the control arm and ball joint. It was so late in the afternoon by the time they got to it, unfortunately, that it's going to take 2 days to get the parts, which means they won't arrive till Friday, could show up Friday afternoon. So all that to say that they ended up giving me a loaner while I was waiting for all these parts and things to arrive. And they were like, hey, normally they give me an F-150, or they've given me an Explorer, or they also, the other thing they gave me, a Bronco Sport.
Is this the same dealer you've always used, Chris?
Same dealer. Yeah. And they're just so close. I mean, I've thought about going to a different dealer before. But I don't know, because I don't know why I keep going back to the same one, but I do.
They give you a loaner every time, which is crazy. I think that's amazing.
They don't have to do that.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. And And I always I always tell them if I want something. Then what they do is they reach out to me when they have a loaner available. Is kind of the move they
what's
make.
interesting is that they're giving you a loaner even though you didn't buy the truck there. I mean, that really is not.
Yeah.
They usually get picky about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And sometimes even doing the work.
They know Chris so well, they know not to mess with him.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, credit to them. I shouldn't give them too much of a hard time because and here's I think for them too, the reality is they're going to make money. They're going to build this stuff to Ford. So
Right.
You know,
It's warranty work.
yeah, they're gonna make money either way.
There's a memo. There's a memo that's circulated Ford corporate that has your picture on it that says, if this guy shows up to your dealership, you kiss his feet and you give him whatever he wants.
And the same memo is at hydrogen stations saying, if you see this guy, kick him out.
Oh man, you guys.
So what did you get,
man.
Chris? What are you driving?
So I'm driving a Ford Escape, and when they first told me, I was like, oh man, I don't know, Ford Escape, that doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm a really big guy, so I get it, and then it turns out it's a plug-in hybrid, and what's even funnier about that, you know, we always joke about dealers don't know electric and whatever. They didn't know that this is a plug-in hybrid, guys. It had no battery charge. They just thought it was a normal Escape. And then I go over and I see right there the charge port door. And I'm like, that's weird plate. And I open it up and I'm like, oh my God, this is a plug-in hybrid. And I'll be honest, I didn't even know they made a plug-in hybrid. I don't know if this has this been years and I just now am cluing in that there's a plug-in
hybrid. It's
year
still
or
got
two.
that engine.
Yeah, so I haven't released this video. This is just sitting on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna post it later in the month when my other stuff is done. But yeah, I was thoroughly excited. I went from being like, all right, well, I guess at least it's a loaner, to being super stoked because obviously I could make this video now that you know I've got up, and yeah, I took it. I started. The first thing I did was charge it up, and it got like 37 miles of charge on an 11 kilowatt hour battery. I'm like, dude, that'll get me to work, to home. That'll get me to my daughter's dance. It's plugged in right now after a day of driving. I've gone almost 100 miles. What's that?
Is this an option for your wife? Because you talked about upgrading her.
So here's the thing is, and I always feel bad for Ford whenever I talk bad because I am critical about certain. I'm not as bougie as Josh, but I'm
What's up with all the hate towards the Bang Boys over here?
we never get you on, and you guys were all quiet over there. So I wanted to involve you. I wanted to remind the audience that you were with us.
And you're right.
I'm a bougie boy. What about it?
You just saying. But there is a noticeable difference in the build quality of this series of vehicles. So the Escape, the Bronco Sport, the Maverick, they all kind of have this
one who drives a platinum F-150.
Yeah, and
even then,
Cushion cheese.
Cushion cheese. Shout out Cushion cheese.
A whole different environment than it is to that Escape.
Yeah, and my wife has a limited Edge, like it's the top trim of the Edge from 2013, and it's really well built. I mean, that thing has been rock solid for us for 12, 13 years. And it's when you close the door, it feels substantial. It's got the leather, it's got the heated seats, got everything. And it feels robust. It feels heavy. This one, every time I close a door, it feels hollow. When you use the
that way. I hate to say
the Rangers
they're really nice trucks. They're awesome trucks, but the doors were very tinny. A lot of guys go in and put sound deadener in the doors because they sound hollow and tinny when you close them.
Yeah, they really do. But now the car itself, incredibly impressive. Like it's got heated seats, heated steering wheel, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's got this cool display that I did a video on and posted it to X. It's this cool animation, and it shows the Escape, and it shows the flow of energy going from the battery to the wheels, from the regen into the battery, when the motor kicks on. It's got the different drive modes. It does the weird Ford thing that I don't know why they don't fix, which every time you restart the car, it defaults back to the drive mode, the basic drive mode. It doesn't stick with what you've chosen. I don't know why they do that. It's got it has 3 other drive modes that it does, or drivetrain modes, I guess I'll call them. You can do normal hybrid, where it chooses when it kicks on the battery or not. You can do you can prioritize the battery, in which case it'll use the battery up entirely first before it switches, which is what I'm doing. And then it'll prioritize the engine, so that you can, if you're on a road trip, you can save the battery for maybe where you're trying to get to and use it in town there. And those do stay. Every time I get in the car, that is where I've set it before. But if you go to the modes where it's like eco, normal, sport, slippery, that defaults back to normal every time. And I know the Lightning does the same thing, and Mach-E does the same thing, and people comment about it. I'm not sure why I haven't been able to fix that, but it's but yeah, it's got a lot of cool features. I
believe technically Mach-E stays actually in drive.
Oh,
modes.
does it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the Lightning. I think the Lightning will for not sport, but I think normal, and there's another one, but not sport. It won't default to that.
Yeah, it'll just say, "Do you want to return to sport?"
Yes.
Matt's talking about,
and they actually got in trouble with that, because I think that's actually maybe part of the reason why they don't do it. They actually released a OTA update, and they got in trouble with NTSB because it would allow the truck to stay in 4x4 mode.
Yeah, they kept it in sport mode for like a week. Everybody was like, "Oh, I don't want any updates because it's
any of the drive modes, which include 4x4, and that was a big no-no for the NTSB and NHTSA or whatever." So they like released a very quick OTA to remove that. It was not very long. So I think that had kind of part to do with it. But like I said, the Mach-E does it. So I don't know if it's because it has a 4x4 mode, like the Escape doesn't. So I don't know. Yeah, I think that's part of it, though. To be honest.
Matt was talking about he wants all-wheel drive, and it doesn't have all-wheel drive on it. It doesn't have a ton of miles on the battery. I found it was sufficient. I mean, again, I'm sure Matt's got a much different commute than I do, right? Like I'm going 12 miles each direction, so 24 miles, and I actually found that I'm getting 40. Again, because I'm in the Bay Area, it's commute traffic both ways. It's city streets a lot of the time. So for the same reason that the standard range Lightning worked so well for me, this one, even though it has a 14 kilowatt hour battery, but only 11 is usable. I think it's actually 10.7. I'm just rounding up to 11
times. Does it show you miles per kilowatt hour when you're actually?
Right now it's 3.9.
So you're getting 4. So 4 times 11 is 44 miles. You're basically get 40 to 44 miles. That's really good.
Yeah, and you can use it all the way to the bottom, and even when it's at 0, it will still regen and give you a little bit as you're driving around. It's pretty reasonably efficient with it. So yeah, I made a video with it, which was super cool, and it was overall impressive. My big concern, being such a big guy, I get into so many mid-size or compact cars, and I'm just squished. This thing had remarkable room for what it was. It had little things like the back seats for my kids. It has the fold down armrest with the cup holders. And yeah, there's cup holders in the door, but there isn't anything directly in front on the armrest like there is for our Lightning. So that center armrest is super cool, and just a good divider for kids. Lots of space in the trunk area. It comes with a spare tire. It came with a mobile charger, and which I thought was cool. I just posted a video today. I've got it plugged in. And it's basically, I think it only charges at like 3.8 kilowatts or something. I don't know the amp
kilowatt battery.
Yeah, but it's low enough that when I'm running my solar, I can run the house and charge the car completely off solar. And it's doing it here. I'm going to take my daughter to dance here in a half an hour, and it'll be charged up plenty. And then it's a great for that type of scenario, right?
Feature. I think your truck has it, but I don't think Jace does, where you can dial down the DC fast charge, the AC fast charge. Correct. And that's something you've been wanting for a while now. Chris, I know I posted a while back. Do you have DC and AC adjustability now yet?
Shoot, I need to go check that actually.
Yeah, because that's a new feature that I installed on mine, and I'm hoping I get it completely finished before I sell it. But it's
I haven't gotten any
DC and AC.
I have not gotten any OTAs, so I don't think anything has changed on mine.
Speaking of OTAs, we're over here driving the Lightning on the Blue Cruise 1.4.
Nice.
Fancy.
20 miles of range, and we got 21 miles to go.
That's perfect. That's exactly how you should.
Yeah,
we're We're gonna be putting into the Buc-ee's here in about 15 minutes.
You'll do it. And now that you got this new updates, it's going to rip about 190, 185.
Yeah. Hey, and
I have not gotten I don't think I've gotten the faster charging speed OTA though on mine. Jesse, we saw
No,
193. We got 193 on the way here.
Now you're killing it.
So I'm just going to segue again because I'm selfish like that. But you mentioned Buc-ee's on the on my latest video that came out today. I did get to visit a Buc-ee's. So I go and I do an Iona station.
Curious
and then
how the superchargers will be.
Oh, I don't want the audio there. But I did visit my first Buc-ee's. It was interesting. It was very crowded, like way too crowded for me. So
you
I
had
didn't
a
really,
bit of an overload with the people there. I thought in California you'd be used to that because like I've been to an IKEA and I can't stand it, but I love Buc-ee's.
you can see look how many cars are behind me, man. And the Tesla chargers were almost, the gas pump were so many gas pumps, and then inside it was more chaos. And so I do that visit. And so what's funny is, of course I post this video, and so far this video is on track to be one of my top videos. But trust me, it's not because of me, and it's not because of the Tesla chargers at the Buc-ee's, and it's not because of my Iona stop. It's because
your boyfriend.
It's my guy. It's I go here and I visit the out of spec hub, and so it's funny because there's a graph you can see on your YouTube videos. You can see a graph of your like what people are watching and when they dip and when they spike. And so mine is like low flat line for 10 minutes of the video. And then when it gets to the 10, 11 minute mark where I start doing this part of it, it skyrockets to all these viewers watching that part of the video. So, yeah, Kyle was super generous, and he did a whole walking tour of the out of spec studios and let me video it and all this kind of stuff. And he had some, the Volvo EX30 just tossed me the fob. You can't call it toss me the keys, but I got to drive that around a bit and got to go charge up on the X-Charge charger, all that kind of stuff. So it was a super cool occasion, and I've been in fanboy mode really ever since ACT Expo, where we spent time with Kyle there. He gave us the new charging adapter that that they have developed from Amphenol, and Amphenol is the only one that's been certified, UL certified. So Kyle let us do a video with that. And then, of course, there's this video here at the Out of Spec Studios. And then, as if that wasn't enough, then I went in and saw when I was at the Ford Cars and Coffee event here at the Palo Alto Greenfield Labs, I saw the Zeekr 001 FR. And I went up and spoke to him, and I was like, hey, can I check this out? So I did a little 90-second kind of walk around video. And then I messaged Kyle. I'm like, hey, man, there's this Zeekr 001, man, like here's the contact. And of course, Kyle being Kyle, like he gets it for a day. And he was super cool, and he invited me out for it. But yeah, we drove.
I'm pretty sure it does. But it's
again, I gotta watch out for that volume there. We drove it through the canyons, like 1,250 horsepower, and just ripping with.
I was going to ask you, Chris, I haven't got to watch this yet. Is this the golden battery one that charges in 9 minutes?
It is not. It would be great if it was this, but this one will do 10 to 80 in 15 minutes. So, but it's not the golden battery. It would be great if it was, but it was crazy powerful. It had some great tech in there, great controls that you could do. And again, it had like all the doors opened and closed, like they were automated. You know how the Model X will open their doors? So even the back row
Escalade does that too. Super cool.
So those are now I did that very quickly wore out the, you grab the door and then it's actually slower to wait for it to open than it is just I kept finding myself like annoyed by the fact that I had to wait for it to open. I didn't want to burn out the motors, the door motors on this $100,000 Zeekr that's not even legal in America, So that was it was an exciting week, man. So those guys that are watching, like go watch those videos. And of course the difference in perspective, Kyle's video with the Zeekr, it's got 77,000 views in 4 days. That's just such a crazy amount.
I have over 77 views in 4 days. He's killing it. Yeah.
I'll I'll be lucky if I can break 1,000. I'm feeling good about myself, you know. So I think the video of the tour, though, I guarantee that thing's going to be a couple thousand views, which for me is great.
Yeah.
So, you know, hey, kudos to him, man, because he didn't need to take that time, and everybody on the whole trip. I mean, Martin, you were fantastic and let me stay over there. And Ben Westby, I've got that video coming up next. So for those of you guys who know Ben and his top of the world Rocky Mountain ranch that he's got, like I stayed over there. And, you know, the guys
could have come here, Chris, but you went to the wrong Cleveland. So,
went to the wrong Cleveland. I was excited when I saw Cleveland board. I thought, Jace, I'm going to come to see you. And then it was the wrong Cleveland.
Jason, how close are you to Holland, Michigan?
Holland is on the west side, right, of the state. Yeah, on the Lake Michigan side.
So if I get a truck bot up there, I got a customer or a guy on the channel that or the Facebook group that I might get a truck bot from. He hadn't told me yet. If we do, I'm going to try to make it by.
All right, cool. Yeah, let me know. That'd be awesome.
So Chris.
Yeah,
you've got this plug-in hybrid. When are you getting your truck back? I think that's what we missed.
Well, here's the crazy thing. So the parts are supposed to all arrive Friday, but they could arrive like Friday afternoon. And I don't know if they'll work on them on Saturday, but on Sunday I fly out for a week to Dallas, Texas. And when the day I get back, I've got a Metallica concert at the 49er Stadium. So I've got like Friday night, I've got a Metallica concert. Saturday, I've got a Mount Diablo drive with the Tesla Club out here. Sunday is another Metallica concert. So it's going to be.
And I'll be out there in 2 weeks to see you. So
yeah, so I got crazy stuff happening, man, and my world's chaos right now. So yeah, if I don't get the truck back Friday afternoon or Saturday, and it doesn't seem likely that I'll get it back Friday.
No, if they get to change the ball joint and align it, and the parts don't come in until Friday afternoon, that's not happening.
Yeah, and they're replacing those. Back to the whole thing. They said they had to replace that whole A pillar, like that whole pillar. I guess the reason that little. Yep. That little insert, whatever was causing it.
None of that. It's the handle's made into the A pillar, and the covers are kind of there. It's easy to replace though.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Anytime they start taking apart a brand new truck, I get worried.
You do. I take a bunch of them apart.
Hey, if it was you taking it apart, I would be less worried. But my track history.
I got to work on your truck first. I just want to say that. You know, removing all these damn stickers that this dealer put on.
And I found another one. on the tailgate when I took the family to the drive-in, as is our tradition, and we go to the back of the bed, and so we broke in the truck properly, and we took it to the drive-in, and I go to lower the bed to put the tailgate to put the bed in and all that stuff in. There's another one of those dang stickers on the side. The left side of the tailgate that I hadn't seen before. I'm like, God dang, these things keep popping up.
We were actually trying to officially work on Chris's truck. I was going to do a couple forescan edits, turn off all the bings and bongs and stuff. And his truck is so new, the VIN number hasn't been loaded into the forescan database yet. So we couldn't do anything to it. And I emailed them, and they basically told me to kick rocks. It wasn't exactly like that, but I'm like, I don't know that I can do this until it just comes up. Well,
hopefully you come out and visit it. Hopefully there's some of that stuff we can, the matrix headlights for sure. I'd love to have that.
Yeah. I'm going to bring the laptop and the cords and stuff. We'll see if it's loaded by then. Cause I emailed them in your VIN and said, hey, can you load this? And they said, well, this is how you do it, or otherwise wait. And so if we can, we can. If we can't, we'll know in 2 minutes.
And then Logan was saying he needs to take his in for the recall. So first thing, Logan, they may inspect it and it may not need it.
Yeah, so we got both of ours done actually, and so if it sort of depends on the dealer, but if they still get the parts regardless of if your vehicle passes or doesn't pass, they order parts. So the way that my dealer explained it to us was she read the TSB exactly for whatever it is, the recall exactly for what it was, and she said that the inspection takes about an hour for them to do. That's if it passes. If it passes, the whole entire inspection takes about an hour. If one side doesn't pass, add another hour, maybe 2. If the other side doesn't pass, then add another hour or 2. So if you pass, you should be pretty quick, but that's taking into account your dealer looking into it right away. First thing in the morning, as Chris said, that doesn't always happen. I've always had better luck with saying I will wait as opposed to dropping it off. They always seem to get to it a little bit quicker if you say that you're going to wait, because you're sitting there in the lobby all day. If you drop it off, I've always usually had dealers kind of blah, blah, blah. But it shouldn't take long. So if you pass, you're good. Maybe an hour. If one or two sides fail, then it could be a few hours.
So it's the upper ball joint, I think, is the one they're talking about.
Correct.
Here's the specifics of what's going on with that recall. They didn't get the ball joint. The ball joint has a stud that sticks down through the upper control arm, and there's a nut on that bottom. And they didn't get that nut torqued properly. And if that nut's not torqued properly, it allows that ball joint to move in that tapered cone that ball joint stud is sitting in. And when it does that, you get wear. And then there's no way to tighten it up enough. So you have to replace the ball joint, the A-arm and that ball joint. And the ball joint is actually on the spindle, and the cone is in the A-arm. And if you want to see this happen, I've got some videos on my YouTube channel that show changing these. So you can go watch how that goes together.
And I think it was in the recall listed as, I believe it's less than 1% of trucks are affected. So if you are affected, you're in that 1%. So
top 1%, baby.
Well, just to be clear here, that nut is a crushed OD nut, so they're not going to fall off. Your wheel's not going to fall off running down the road. But you may get if you kept driving it loose, and in my life I have, that'll just, you'll hear this clunk, and you'll get this weird alignment. Your tires will wear funny. So it's something you need to get taken care of, but I don't see it as a safety critical. Yes, it's a recall. They call it safety because it's part of the suspension. But do I think it's going to cause like your wheel to fall off? No. But yeah, get it fixed.
I'm curious when I get it back, because having driven it, 3,000 miles across the country, potentially with an issue and potentially unaligned. I'm not positive, but it definitely feels to me, and this could be the tires as well. So I'm curious to see what difference it makes with it aligned and proper as it should be. The ride quality feels like it's not as good as my Lariat was.
Less sidewall. Less sidewall. Yeah, what exactly. It is? Yep. Yeah, 22-inch wheels.
Yeah, you've got going from a Lariat tire to a Platinum tire. I mean, you're a lot less cushion of rubber.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's exactly what I was going to say, Martin. It's not really worse ride quality. It's just less cushiony. So instead of that bounce you'd almost get from the tires, you get a lot less of that bounce over bumps. You're getting more stiff.
But it looks better.
I don't think it looks better.
Debatable.
Let's talk about this some. And Logan was saying he feels like his steering wheel isn't straight, and they told him it was aligned. So this is what Martin was saying earlier. I guess it could be aligned.
So the truck can be aligned. If you put the truck on the alignment rack, here's what happens. There's a little prop rod that at some point through the alignment, because this all happens automatically now with the new alignment systems, they've got that prop rod under the steering wheel to hold it straight and then align the front wheels so they're pointing in the right direction. If you've got that steering wheel turned at, say, 3 degrees off zero, when you do that, now it's turned, but the truck's still going to drive properly and wear tires like they should. So really when they said it was aligned, it's probably because they put it on the alignment rack and it's aligned. The easy way to do, and I do these myself, if my steering wheel's off, you have tie rod ends on either end of that steering that hold those wheels. You can, and I wouldn't recommend people doing this at home, but I do it a lot. You loosen this one and turn it a turn, and loosen the other one and turn exactly the same turn. And that'll take the steering wheel from here and turn it back. So it's just the left to right centering. Now, if you was to only turn one tie rod in, now you've got your wheels from pointing straight to like that or like that. You don't want to do that. So it can be aligned, the wheels pointing ahead like they're supposed to, and the steering wheel still be off.
Something was definitely off on mine, because when I would drive the Lariat, Mission Boulevard, which is the main kind of road outside of our neighborhood, pretty much a straight 2-lane highway each way, and it was, dude, that Lariat was so rock solid and so planted that just driving that straight piece of road, it would constantly tell me to keep my hands on the wheel because it was so perfectly straight and it doesn't do that in my Platinum, and it
I
definitely.
will
feels
say
like
one other thing that you're
software.
probably feeling, Chris, is thinner tires as well. So not
The
just
thinner tires
sidewall,
and
but they're also thinner this way.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're 55s instead of 60s.
Oh,
Well, you got to look at that as a
so
percentage. So you got to look at that as a percentage because like those numbers are like a 275/60. That's 275 millimeters wide, and 60 is the percent of the height of your sidewall. So look at your tire numbers. Whatever the first number is how wide they are. So if it's a 255 versus a 265, that's 10 millimeters narrower. And Jason, you're right.
I think it's 255 versus a 275, and then a 60 versus a 55.
Yeah, so the height, they try to accommodate the overall tire diameter so it doesn't change a lot, but you also have the width versus the height and sidewall. That's going to, what you're talking about, Chris, too, keeping your eyes on it, that's a little bit software. You have a 25, you're coming from a 22. There's different software there. And my truck totally acts different now than it did when I first got it because the software is all up to 25 standards. It's all Blue Cruise 1.4. I don't think 1.5 is even out for the Lightnings. In fact, I know it's not. It's out for the newest Mach-E's, but that's it.
Correct.
So you're going to notice that, Chris. You're going to see that in the keeping your eyes on the road and having to apply pressure. But just the brand of tire can make a huge difference on how your truck drives. Jace, you've got.
I'm pretty sure.
Do right?
Sorry, what'd you say?
You have Duratrax on yours now.
Duratrack
You noticed-
RTs, yeah.
And your truck probably came. The Platinum probably came with the grabbers.
That's what mine came with.
They're HTSs, whatever those things are. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a totally different feel of a tire. That truck probably drives different now than it did before.
Oh yeah.
Mine-
And it's a lot louder too.
Those new Arturos I put on mine that are more all trail compared to the grabbers that it came with. It's actually like been amazing to like the audible difference in the driving because it's
Those
more of
are
a
pretty aggressive.
trail tire. You can hear yourself driving. The grabbers were really silent.
Yeah.
See, and
they're
I want
designed
that.
to-
I want the
the-
silent. I want the
Yeah,
silent soft ride.
The tires that Josh put on his are more of a really they're more of an off-road tire. They're not a mud tire.
All-terrain.
They make one. Arturo makes one called an HT, and it's that mid-grade between street and all-terrain, and it's kind of a good sweet spot where you're not going to hear them, but you do get some snow and some mud if you get off the camber situation somewhere. But Josh,
My
My Duratracks are loud.
It looks really cool. Like I like the look of a beefier tire, but the efficiency and the noise, it's kind of not worth it in that instance.
It really depends on the
So
tire,
yeah,
though. Like that's the crazy part. You can find like those Toyo ET3s or whatever they are, or EV3s, whatever. Those are crazy. Like you even their LT is like as efficient as like a standard all-terrain, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it just
430
like if you
tire,
look,
though.
yeah, I know. Yeah, they're really
I mean,
expensive.
they're like
And they're
$1,500 a set. It's not worth it.
aren't they foam lined too?
They might be.
Are
I
those-
got to tell you, I've done some testing on the foam versus not foam. There's not the tread design makes a hell of a lot more difference than the foam for noise.
Yeah, and if you get a screw, half the time they're annoyed. They're ripping the foam off to try to plug it, and it's a whole thing.
There we go. Because I did a set this week on this Model S. It has a brand new set of Goodyears on it. It has the foam, and I did a set of Arturos on an Aviator last week that had the foam. And the guys at the tire shop just cut a big hole in the foam and throw it out. It's not that hard to get a little spray adhesive and put it back in there after you fix it. People are just being lazy.
They don't. But I totally yep.
So
I'm definitely gonna switch these tires out at some point. I gotta wait till I have the money for it and whatnot. I was talking to
wheels, tires, both.
I think it would have to be both because if I switched it out, it wouldn't be to 22s. It would either be to the 20s, or even I was going to ask you guys what would happen if I switched it all the way down to 18? Would that be more efficient at 18?
Yeah. I put 18s on my Lightning when I first got it. It was 10% better. Now I was with the Michelin Primacy tires. That's the one they come out with on the XLTs back in the day. Those are a lot more efficient. I couldn't handle the look. It did not look good on the truck. The 20 to me is the right wheel.
Yeah, go and look at Will. Look at Will F the Pump's truck. He has 18s on his.
Yeah, but those are like totally like fuel nice 18s, not like they've got like a side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
This has got like a bead lock on it.
it does. It does have it. Yeah.
I mean, they're cool, but
So
they're
there's a
not normal
chance-
18.
There's a chance I'm gonna get those off Will. We were talking offline
Oh, okay.
about maybe getting those, but I wasn't sure what would happen if I switched to 18s.
You could probably get like a Ford or a wheel sponsor of some kind.
I would love
Sure, you
to
could
shout
work
out
with
anybody that wants to wheel
someone.
sponsor me.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah,
you
so
know,
I-
we went to the 20 lariats, the 20-inch lariat wheels on my truck. Justin still has the 22s on his, and I love the 20-inch lariat. I think they are exactly the perfect wheel tire combo. Well, I guess wheel, and then if you get the right, you can put any kind of tire on there. I think like the 20-inch rim allows for the perfect amount of sidewall, especially if you get like a nice aggressive sidewall. I just think it's like the perfect, I don't know, it just looks right in my opinion.
You have a lot more options for 20-inch tires because most of the trucks on the market are 20-inch tires, and so
Okay.
you get a lot of options. And you can buy Michelin's for like $300 a tire on the 20s, or you can buy Turos for like $130 a tire, $140 a tire on the 20s.
Yeah,
Depends on what you're looking for.
I'll definitely talk to you. You guys know so much about these things, and what I really want to. It's going to depend on the reason I like Wills is Wills have a cool look to them, and they have that blue, that
he put
blue
around it,
accent
yeah.
that I really
Yeah.
like. So if he's,
That's what's
if
on
he,
my Can-Am, it's that blue accent. I love that blue accent.
yeah, me too. So if he ends up switching out his wheels, I'm probably going to take those from him and work something out with him on those. If not, I would probably go to the 20s, and then. My concern, I want tires that are going to wear well. The stock wheels, to me, I mean, seem to wear pretty well, and they seem to be pretty quiet. So
Yeah, the General Grabbers are good, Chris, that you had. Now I would tell you, I've had 3 sets of the Hancooks that come out on the mid grade, not the all season, but the all terrain tire in the 22s and 23s, and those are shit. They wear on the outsides of the tire. It looked like at 20,000 miles that the outsides of my tire wore off, and I thought that was a Lightning thing, or I thought that was a specific
Camber
to that
thing,
yeah, and I had it aligned. I saw a Power Boost with the same miles on it doing the exact same thing. It's the tire.
Yeah.
The Hancooks
I definitely-
are just crap.
I'll definitely
That's
get
a
with you
good-
guys because I
That's a
want to
good
know.
point you brought up, though, Martin, that like there's not a lot of options for 22s, because I went on to Goodyear to see like if we were going to replace Justin's tires, which 39-month lease, we're going to probably want to throw a set on in probably 2 years from now. It'll be close. We'll see how they wear, but they're not very deep tread. They're pretty thin. So I was looking and I put it into Goodyear because we're Goodyear guys. We have a lot of friends that work for Goodyear, so we get those discounts, which I was going to say, Chris, I'll keep on the lookout for you as well, because we sometimes get 35 to 45% off. It just depends.
Cool.
But that's how we're able to buy so many tires. Without it, we wouldn't be able to do it. But
you have to, right? You have like winter tires, you have summer tires, you have a whole thing going.
Yeah,
on
we're in the
there.
lake effect zone, so we get quite a bit of snow. Not like Ben Westby or anything, but I mean we get 100 inches a year easy. So, but I was looking, and there's 2 options for Justin, for the 22s, or if I was going to put the 22s back on my truck, we really, really like the Goodyear Steadfast HTs. We had a set of those. We actually had to end up turning them in. But they're like one of the highest rated Goodyear tires. They're brand new within last year. And they are fantastic tire. I think it was like that in the 22 that was available, and maybe one other tire that Goodyear sells, period, in that size that you could put on. And I think about the 24-inch tires that Goodyear throws on those things. Good luck finding a 24-inch tire. It's crazy.
Might be a segue, but my next truck, if anybody had read the headline, my truck's selling, so the 23 is going away. With that said, I'm looking at a Silverado or a GMC Sierra EV just because of the range, and
you're testing the Cybertruck, right? You're testing the Cybertruck too.
Well, I got 3 that I'm down to 3. I'm probably going to end up buying another Lightning, just so everybody doesn't think I'm jumping ship because of the cost. I can buy a Lightning sub 20 grand for our stuff and fix it and be in there in good shape.
And you know how to fix it, right? Like he's comparative to the other ones.
Yeah, you go buy a 22 or 23 used Lightning right now, it's 45 to 47 grand. That's just what they bring. So I can buy one for about 20, and then I got parts to fix it. I'm looking at 2 different hail damage trucks out of Texas, which is a lot of labor, but not a lot of parts for me. So a 23 Lightning, a 25 Sierra EV. That's really one I want. It's just they're expensive. And then my Model S that we built is going into Tesla to be certified to get back on the supercharger network. And they're gonna, if the truck's there, they're gonna let us have a Cybertruck for the weekend. I get it tomorrow, so I'm hoping I'm gonna post about it if I get it on my Facebook page. But I'm hoping I get to drive one. Not that I'm not necessarily a Tesla fan. I know I talk a lot about it, but I just like stuff that works. And there's a lot of stuff about the Lightning and the Mach-E that works. And there's a lot of stuff about the Model S that works. I want to know if I can live with a Cybertruck. And I don't mean, can I deal with the look of it, or can I deal with how it shifts, or I'm talking about day to day. Like, I don't want all the attention and the hate every time I pull up somewhere. Jace, you talked about before, if you pulled up in a Cybertruck trying to do a roof for somebody, they're going to tell you to get the hell out of here. And that is a real consideration for people buying one. For me, I work as an engineer. I have Martin rebuilds. That's not going to affect me, but it damn sure would guys like you, where you get people pulling up, and if they hate anything to do with Elon, they'll tell you to leave.
And let me be clear, we might win some jobs. I mean, like, it's not, everybody's not going to say no. Some people might be like, this is great, but I can tell you, vast majority probably are not going to find that. But also, they don't. People wrongly, a lot of the time, not really necessarily in Cybertruck's case, but people wrongly think that Tesla is, a very expensive vehicle. So that would be another reason why we would not choose that, because it's Cybertruck especially.
Yeah, new right now. The guys that bought their Lariats, like Chris, you paid like almost 80 for yours, didn't you? When it was new.
No, I paid. So my Lariat, remember, was a standard range. So it's funny. I paid almost
72.
Oh, that was right, because it went 22 here, and then they jacked it up for the 23s, and then they dropped it back down.
I was at 72, so you were probably at what, 70, right?
I was like right at
Blue Cruise.
because I didn't have Blue Cruise.
You can buy now a new Cybertruck for 72 with the tax.
You can, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, so it's not any more expensive than a Lightning new. That we just don't have that. They come out in 24, so 2 years from now, I'm hoping you can buy some $35,000 Cybertrucks, and then it'll be, So for me, I will build one. I think it will in 2 years, because the markets, they're not selling them. You can buy now a new Cybertruck if you opt for FSD for 84 months with 0% with approved credit. So it's like they're trying to give these trucks away because they're not selling like they thought they were going to. And for me, I'm not going to buy a new one, but I might build one, especially after watching Zach at what's his video channel name?
Zach, Jerry Riggs.
Jerry Riggs, everything. Yeah.
He did an in-depth on how that, which I wanted to be the first to do that. I'm kind of frustrated that I didn't buy one first, but how to replace that rear frame section when he broke it off from the towing or from that excavator. And so it's very repairable. Like that.
Real quick, I don't mean to interrupt you real quick, Martin, but let's say bye to Josh real quick. He's there. He's waiting to go get his. He's waiting to go get his brisket. So I don't want to hold him up anymore. You go get that brisket.
Fresh hot brisket on the board. We got fresh hot brisket on the board here at the Buc-ee's in Crossville. But
look at
we made it, and Jesse and I are gonna go grab some Buc-ee's. But it's been great to join the live chat for the first time. Not got to do that before.
Thanks for coming on, guys. It was fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys.
We did make it to the Charger with 5 miles of range left.
3.
That's a proper job there, fellas. Proud of you.
I will be proud.
Onwards, boys. Have a good night.
Yeah.